call the meeting to order. So let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, Clerk Pern, could we have a roll call for the board, please?
Certainly. Treasurer House.
Here.
Supervisor Bertrand.
I'm here.
Clerk Pern here. Trustee Detmer.
Here.
Trustee Monet.
Here.
All accounted for, sir.
All right. We're going to start this meeting out with the board and department reports. First one on there is supervisor's report and acting ordinance officer. There's one for him down there. I don't know if these were out. There was some up there, but I don't know how many. Most of my time last month was spent on the work session and board meeting agendas as presented. I also fielded many calls on short-term rental, septic ordinance, and many a thank you for leaf pickups by GFL and the one large item weekly pickups, and for being the supervisor. As a legal agent, I continued to spend a significant amount of time trying to confirm Trustee Monet's opinions, specifically on the short-term rental posting legality, the Zoning Board of Appeal, board appointments, and board meeting time changes as needed. I put this in the report because these are the attorney answers, and I think it's important that it gets out there. Concerning Trustee Monet's claim on the day of the ZBA meeting that there could not be any new appointments serving on the ZBA board, we have 2 new appointments until previous ZBA members' resignations are accepted by the Township board at a board meeting. Therefore, this meeting could not be a legal ZBA meeting, and he would not do anything illegal. Certainly has his right to an opinion. Our attorney answer was resignations are effective immediately for members of the ZBA. The board does not need to accept the resignation. The Township board only needs to vote to accept resignation of other Township board members. Trustee Monet, the Township board representative on the ZBA board, then no-showed that evening's ZBA hearing with no word or notice to me. I had to guide the ZBA meeting new appointments on Open Meeting Act protocol, but did not participate as a ZBA board member in that meeting. Trustee Monet felt that any board member involvement may be illegal, again, has a right to his opinion. Our lawyer said that was fine as long as I did not vote as a ZBA board member. Concerning the 5/14/25 work session, starting time change. I had an important summer safety plan meeting until 1 o'clock that day, so the start time change to 1 instead of 12:30 was posted 18 hours in advance. Trustee Monet's position was clearly stated at the beginning of our work session. That did start at 1, and then he walked out. I sent a video of his statement to the attorney, and what follows is our attorney's response. Good afternoon. I watched the portion of the video you described. Monet cites the MCL 15.2653, which states in relevant part that if there is a change in the schedule of regular meetings of a public body, there shall be posted within 3 days after the meeting at which the change is made, and a public notice stating the new dates, times, and places of its regular meetings. This portion of the statute is written very specifically to apply to a change in the schedule of meetings plural, not a change in the time of a single meeting. The remaining portion of that scenario affirms the point, where the board is changing the schedule of regular meetings. Notice of new dates, times, and places should be reposted in the manner described. In this case, there was no change in the schedule of regular meetings. Just a single meeting was slightly altered. The relevant provision in this case is subsection 4, immediately following what Monet cited, which states, for a rescheduled regular or special meeting of a public body, a public notice stating only date, time, and place of the meeting shall be posted at least 18 hours before the meeting in a prominent and conspicuous place at both the public body's principal office, and if the public body directly or indirectly maintains an official internet presence, that includes monthly or more frequently updates of public meeting agendas or minutes on a portion of the website that is fully accessible to the public. As you explained to me, this was done. The meeting was therefore lawful. Also, it must be noted that the meeting time here was changed from 12:30 to 1 p.m. I would barely even call that a change in a meeting time. Arguably, you just got started with your regularly scheduled 12:30 meeting a bit late. There can be no legitimate challenge that the change of time was so significant and detrimental that members of the public were harmed. At worst, someone showed up slightly early for the meeting. Please feel free to pass this on to the other board members. At that 514 work session, the Township Board then passed, this is after Trustee Monet left, passed a motion that Supervisor Bertrand, as a legal agent for the Township, continue sending legal questions to the attorney and CC copies of those questions to the board members. Trustee Monet had additional comments that he sent to me and he wanted to send to the attorney, which I did. And the following is the attorney's response. I agree with most everything he states here. He's referring to Trustee Monet. He is well within his rights to look up the laws and come up with his own interpretations of them, or see what MTA, that would be Michigan Township Association, has to say. I am certainly not offended where people raise questions or want clarification on procedures. As he said, that is part of the due diligence of an elected official. However, I do also believe that much ink has been spilled over what are either very minor or entirely inconsequential details. The world of municipal law is not as clean-cut as Monet, or indeed myself, want it to be. There are issues of interpretation, a practical process where reasonable minds can disagree. I've been contracted by the township to provide legal advice based on my and my firm's extensive experience in township law, including serving as the general legal counsel for Michigan Township Association since it was funded. I am very happy to continue in that position, as it would appear are at least 4 out of the 5 board members. Back to just me. Going forward, I'll continue to copy the entire board on an individual email that I might send to the law firm for advice. Per our law firm, to avoid Open Meeting Act violations, they will reply only to myself and Clerk Pern. Further discussion after that with board members can only be one-on-one conversations. And as board members, you will all be aware of the initial question, and you will all be made aware of the answers from the firm separately. It should be separately in there. So as I stated, that takes a lot of time. I hope that this actually gets better going forward. The next report is the ordinance officer, which is also me too. I kind of covered that. There's been a great reduction in the blight complaints because GFL's picking up 1 item per week. People are pretty happy about that. I am too. The third report on here is from the sexton, Bruce. Bruce, oh, he's here. Would you like to read your report, sir?
Sure, I have a couple things.
All right, you'll have to turn that microphone on when you come up here.
push the button.
Little button at the seam down there, a little tiny gray one. And if that green light comes on, you're good. Right down
I see,
here.
I got it.
Okay.
Oh, you got it, yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
So we sold one site. I had 7 burials, 2 full grave burials, 5 cremations, and a headstone placed. I got all the flags in, and the weather hasn't cooperated, so I did cut the grass, but there's a lot of weed whacking to do. So one thing I want to propose, in the ordinance, the wreaths have to be off by April 15th. I propose that we change that to May 15th, because it doesn't give people enough time to remove the wreaths.
Let me be clear on that. So we close April, we open.
No,
Say that again.
no, the wreaths, the Christmas wreaths,
Yep.
people are supposedly have to remove them by April 15th. I don't believe that gives them enough time.
Okay, I got you. So you're suggesting May 15th?
May 15th. I mean, the snow hasn't even been gone yet by April 15th.
All right, we'll make a note of that, and I don't see any reason we can't do that. But
Okay, and one
that's
last
me.
thing that I learned today. A lady called me about a Columbia burial. And I did a lot of research on it. And the Columbia burial usually is a box with drawers. We don't do that. There's no box in the, over at the church over there, in the cemetery. But what they do, they've done one, I found out. And they put the ashes inside the graves, inside the headstone. And there's a little drawer that they pull out. So I just wanted you to be aware of that.
All right, thank you, sir. Has anybody got questions for our sexton here? Okay, you can leave it on for now. It shouldn't hurt anything. I, for one, when I drive by it every day, and I think it's looking great, and you're working hard at it. I'm greatly appreciative.
cooperated much.
Well, yeah, but you're getting it done. Next one is fire department, and unfortunately, these are not going to be in the right order. JC could not be here, so I'll read it for him. The hiring of Jeffrey Kuchar, which will be coming up in the agenda. He will be taking 1 and 2, plus he'd like to do the EMT program as well. That's good. Oh, he's taking firefighter 1 and 2. We're doing a lot of cross-training with neighboring townships. Last week was with Garish. We did water rescue. Next month, we will be with Lake Township. We'll be doing pump training with our 640 pumper. Best news yet, we have our pancake breakfast on 5/24. Starts at 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. If you'd like to help contact him, we'll be setting up on the 14th.
Which is passed.
Yeah, due to a training change. So I guess that's old news. So if anybody's got questions for JC, get a hold of him here at the office. Third report would be maintenance, and that's either in here or not here. I don't see it. He probably turned one in, but I'm not seeing it right now. Not the end of the world. You got one there? Sure. Maintenance report for May 14th. Working on the parks at this time, they certainly are. Water's on at both Park 27 and the cemetery, but shut off till public water sample results come back from the health department. Cemetery well needs some repairs on the well itself as a small leak. I'm aware of that. in the process of redoing all the park signs as well as the new library sign. I haven't seen the work, but I understand they were looking shabby and they're on it. And all the tires have been changed on the 2 trailers. We had previously passed motions to have that done. Next would be the treasurer.
Mine's not as long as yours at the beginning. You can take off number 1. I don't know how that appeared on mine, but that's maintenance. We did get a new roof donated for the Samuel Set Pavilion, which should be installed here in the next week or 2. And I thought, since we're gonna do this new septic ordinance, we might as well look at the one at the township. So it hasn't been done in 5 years, and I figured we might as well have it checked and pumped, lead by example, which we did, and everything's good. We received our first payment from 2023 from outstanding EMS runs that just the company we hire to collect gives up after a certain period of time. But I sent out letters, and we got our first payment back, and we're still pursuing others. And tomorrow we got a Roscommon County Treasurers meeting I'm going to attend. And we are currently, I'm working with Fidelity and Mass Mutual to change our retirement plan to a more traditional one where the township's not on the hook for the full percentage. And we could bring in other employees to contribute. So that's a couple months down the road, but it's a start. And then hopefully we're getting closer to changing our medical benefits. We can't find, I mean, it's just crazy, the pricing out there. So, you know, it's gonna come to just suggesting either no benefits or a stipend of some sort, but I mean, it's, to pay $1,200 a person a month is just, for the coverage, is not the greatest, so. And then we're collecting our advertising money from local businesses for radio stations to promote the bands at the Park 27. And that's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Anybody got any questions for the treasurer here?
When and where is your?
Please use your microphone, sir.
Sorry. When and where is your treasurer's meeting tomorrow?
I think she said it's in Houghton Lake at Buselli's, I believe.
How convenient.
I didn't pick the place.
Okay, thanks, sir. Next would be the clerk's report.
Since last month, we.
Is that on?
Yeah, we're on, I think, yeah.
Okay, you might have to get closer to it.
Okay. We daily process ballots and the clerk's office mail. We have daily interaction with the treasurer's office. We fielded several calls from people who did not get absentee ballot. Deputy Courtney handled even more. It was explained that the U.S. Postal Service does not forward election material. Some of the people gave us their winter addresses and were sent ballots. Most got back in time for the election. For future reference, please provide the winter addresses if you'd like that absentee ballot. Deputy Clerk Courtney Holtzell deserves special recognition for running a spectacular election, received plaudits from the county as well. An entire Saturday was spent 3 days before the election by the two of us, clerk and deputy, to accommodate ballots coming in that day. We sent out requests for more information on missing files for the doc requests. Currently, only one is outstanding and 3 are to be picked up at reception. There's 16 right now. Retrieved last-minute ballots put in the ballot box outside. Notified of a possible fraud alert on the supervisor's debit card. With the help of the bank and the treasurer, it was determined to be a scam attempt. Busy days as usual in the clerk's office, never without some kind of a controversy. That would be it. Questions?
Okay, no questions for the clerk. Next would be to approve the agenda with a modification.
What about trustee reports?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's next, isn't it? Trustee reports, Detmer, Monet, one of you go.
Good evening. First and foremost, thank you for being here. So, since my name was brought up, my report is that I have spent an enormous amount of time over the last few months studying zoning and planning and all sorts of materials supplied by the state, especially the Michigan Township Association. Moving forward, being on the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board, or the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals. 90% of this statement from what Mr. Bertrand just said about my situation is categorically false. I never said that there could not be any new appointments serving on the ZBA, because there has to be new appointments until previous ZBAs. And I apologize for not going to the ZBA meeting. But unbeknownst to me, I did have a misinterpretation on the resignation of appointees to the ZBA and or Planning Commission or any committee like that. It was never made aware to me, or I was never notified properly, that John Schock had resigned properly. So when John Dillon was appointed to the ZBA, I assumed at that time there were 4 members. Ordinance 55 clearly states there shall be no more than 3 zoning or ZBA members. On top of that, on May 16th at 8:30 in the morning, I went to the Township Hall and looked for my packet of information that is required by statute to be supplied to me by this township or the zoning administrator. It was not available and it was not there. I had a short conversation with Treasurer Hops, and he could verify that I asked him, did he have any idea, possibly, not that he would, where this was. And then I had a 5-minute conversation with Assessor Tatro concerning ZBA requirements. That is why I didn't go to the meeting. On top of that, I didn't go because I cited statute, Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, Act 110. This is what I conveyed to the supervisor, and this is what basically went to the law firm. In a county or township, one of the regular members of the Zoning Board of Appeals shall be a member of the Zoning Commission and or Planning Commission if the Planning Commission is functioning as the Zoning Commission. There can be only one. That is me. Mr. Bertrand sat in on that ZBA hearing that night, appointed himself secretary because he chose to, and then conducted the meeting. There was my problem with the statute. And that is also why I have a problem with everything that happened with that hearing. So, that being said with that, I hope things can be worked out moving forward. I think the people have the right to know what actually did transpire and happen, and that I will hold true to statute, because not only am I getting an interpretation from MTA, I read this book like the Bible. It's a Michigan Township Association guideline. It coincides with state statute, and any other interpretation of such statute is a disingenuous process to all of the people.
Thank you, sir. How about you, Trustee Detmer?
I did liquor control inspections to all the places that have liquor licenses in the township. And I took my dog Izzy for a walk on almost every day. And I talked to people of this fair township and had a good time, listened to their concerns, let them pet my dog, and just had a wonderful day. Thank you.
That's the best thing I heard all day. Thank you. Okay, we will move on then to, God, I can't see in that light. Approve the agenda with a modification. The only one that is, or the only modification is the third thing, and it should already have a line through it if you're holding an agenda. We're going to, or that's going to be struck from the agenda. The decision to do this, we're going to postpone it because of some other things that happened that'll come up later in this agenda. So, only one, strike that admin duties, and that'll be brought up for a later date. So I'll make a motion to approve it as modified.
I'd like to add a topic to the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay. Well, so I got a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My agenda item I'd like to enter is I'd like Lyon Township to withdraw from GLUA and begin dissolution immediately.
Okay, it's in there. You can say it again when we get there. But it is in the agenda. It's kind of buried, but we'll get there.
No, it's not on the agenda. We just made a motion, and it is up to this board to add or delete to the agenda.
Well, let me read what's on there, and if you'd like more, we can. Where are we at here? Point of sale, what are we, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. Point of sale, time of transfer, draft review, and GLUA update. The reason they're both together is because I'm going to suggest something that the board may or may not want to do, but it pertains to both of them.
I'd like my motion to go in as I stated. Lyon
Okay.
Township withdrawing from the GLUA and begin dissolution immediately. I'd like that to be the topic.
I can certainly do that. Or I can put it in here and we can vote on
We have a second?
it. Well, I'll put it in, let me back it up then. I will make a motion to approve the agenda with the one line struck and also the addition of Lyon Township to immediately begin the process of dissolution with GLUA. Do we have a second for that?
Just for that item?
That's the only addition.
I have an addition, so are we doing just that item?
Well, if you have one too, let's go. Or I mean, give it to me and I'll put it in all in one.
Yeah, I'd like a motion, be seconded, that we add to the agenda a clarification on the interpretation of what was passed at the work session. This board, without me being here, because I did excuse myself, passed a motion that only the township supervisor can ask questions of the law firm. Now, I'd like to state where this comes from. A couple months ago, I sent a message of concern to the law firm. That's it. It's not illegal. It's a little irregular. It's not illegal. I didn't violate any statute. Subsequent to that, I sent another concerning message a few weeks ago. So this is really about censoring me, and I don't care. But I want to make it very, very clear that this board will pass a motion that says the supervisor and only the supervisor will have contact with the law firm, leaving out the two most important key players in the township being, in my opinion, Clerk Kern and Treasurer Hobbs. So, in my opinion, I can still send a message of concern to the law firm because that motion only states that Mr. Bertrand can only ask questions. So I want us to have clarification and enter that into the agenda, that no one shall have any contact whatsoever at any time, barring death, injury, or otherwise, except Supervisor Bertrand.
Let me see, so you want to enter into a discussion on what we passed? On the motion we passed?
No, I want a new motion. That motion says that only Supervisor Bertrand can ask questions. Well, I never asked the law firm a question, ever, on my mother's grave. What I sent was a letter of concern.
I can certainly add that as a motion.
Thank you.
Let me back up, so the motion would be that only I, short of death, would be the one to contact the attorney?
Have any contact.
Okay.
I'm gonna start bringing my dog to the meeting.
Would be nice. Hang on a minute. Motion to have only. All right, I'm going to write a short version down, and then when we get there, clear me up on it if it's not exactly what you wanted to say. Okay. We'll talk about it when we get there. Is there anybody, or anything else that need, or would be suggested to add to this agenda? Okay, so I will make a motion then that we approve the agenda as modified, where the adding administrator duties is struck, that there would be a motion for Lyon Township to immediately start the dissolution process for GLUA, and another motion to have only Supervisor Bertrand address the attorneys, or the law firm. Let's change that to law firm. Law firm. So I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So we have the motion. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same. Okay, the motion carries. Okay, the first thing on the agenda, I'm going to add them near the bottom when we get there. The first thing on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda. That would include everything that's on that back table: bills payable, most recent payroll, check ledger, previous minutes, budget report, previous board, committee, and department reports, if any. The amount of board meetings that are back there, I can tell you with 100% certainty that I am completely responsible for that many of them being there. The township employees did their job. They got backlogged on my desk, and we did a bunch of short special meetings. And last week I caught up with a lot of them, and there they are. So they're already posted on the webpage as to be or subject to approval by the board. But they're there. So that's part of the backlog. The rest of that stuff is what we generally supply. So I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
I'll second that.
I'm only asking, so I need a first.
Oh,
If you'll make that motion.
somebody I'll make the motion.
Okay. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So we have the motion. Any discussion on it? Additional
Yes,
discussion?
I have a comment. Doing my due diligence, I have come across, which I need some clarification, that's included in this consent agenda. There we go. We hired Pam Scott as a consultant to the township for $30 an hour as needed till June 30th. I now know Pam Scott is being paid as an employee, and this township has authorized mileage. I would like to ask this board, maybe I missed it because I don't come to many special meetings, when did this township allocate, authorize, or otherwise mileage for employees for their commuter miles? Because it is in our consent agenda. And as far as I was aware, employees don't get mileage. I've asked for a contract. She doesn't have a contract. It could be in the contract. So I think the people deserve some clarification.
I can tell you now that at the point we hired her, it was with mileage, and we passed the motion to do it.
I pulled the motion this afternoon, and that's not what it says.
Okay. I can tell you that the intent was that the mileage was there, and if it's not there, we can certainly check into it.
Well, as of this month, then, it'll be $1,150 that have gone out to Pam Scott for mileage without board approval as an employee.
I believe she was hired as a consultant. I'm not sure if it's attorney, but I don't want to go get into all of that. Okay, duly noted. Is there any other discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, we'll end the discussion. So we have the motion and we have the second to approve it. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 4-1. The next item is just an update on the Higgins Lake Property Owners Association, a public safety meeting that I attended. It was a very good meeting, very interesting. Brian Hill, the supervisor from Garish, Attorney Carey, County Prosecutor, John Ogden from HLPOA. Just a couple highlights. Pinery Hill donated 2 jet skis. There's a new boat noise level testing device that'll be employed. Better use of central dispatch and emergency management. We had discussion on tow-away zones around the state parks. Probably not going to happen. Public road end markings, our short-term rental, the point of sale time of transfer, Lyon's point of sale time of transfer draft, and short-term rental draft. Going to the DNR to hold them accountable, I'm going to do that. For what everyone there agreed was them dropping the ball on allowing the DNR launches to go over capacity and park entry to get out of hand. Really all I'm looking for is somebody to sign off on the fact that if something goes wrong at the west side boat launch because of the line of trucks and cars parked on Old 27, the Lyon Township isn't somehow involved in a lawsuit. We will update these new and renewed efforts to keep everybody safe around here for the summer on the webpage, and then we're going to have a new Facebook page pretty quickly, so it'll all be on there. The next agenda item was struck. Moving down would be the hiring of Jeffrey Kutcher to the fire department. JC's not here, but Jeffrey has a lot of desire, a lot of willingness, and he's going to be doing the training necessary to move on. Lord knows we need firemen. Looks like a real good fit to me. That being said, I'll make the motion to approve the hiring. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion. Any discussion on it?
One question,
Yes.
has his clothing come in yet? I know it was ordered.
I have no idea
Okay.
about it.
Okay. Well,
Some of the other stuff has got to do with
JC was on top of it, so.
No, some of the other stuff's got to do with a set of turnout gear, but that was not for him. At least I didn't think so. Don't know. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, on the hiring of, or on the motion to hire Jeffrey Kutcher, can we have a roll call vote, please, Clerk Pern?
Sure. Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
Treasurer Hobbs,
Yes.
Trustee Monet,
Aye.
Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
Clerk Pern, yes.
Okay, the motion carries. The next item, I have 2 things on here, and then I was going to break them down to do them separately. This might not take long depending on where the board temperament is. First one would be the point of sale time of transfer septic ordinance. Both of these issues have separate problems. The office is really busy. I know Clerk Pern and Treasurer Hobbs have had very little time to review this thing. I floated it out there over a week ago with about 15 different problem areas looking for input, and I got nothing. I think the only way we're going to really move this thing forward is to have a special meeting that is committed to just 1 or 2 items and stay on them and don't get anywhere else, and give people a little bit of time to make sure they understand what's there in the first place. So I'm going to suggest that we have a special meeting next week, because I don't want to waste my time or yours trying to go over this thing right now when I'm the only one that knows what's there. I'm going to suggest that we have a special meeting next Wednesday with only 1 or 2 agenda items, one being the point of sale time of transfer, that we can prepare for and discuss in and with detail. So I'm going to make a motion for a special meeting to do so next week on Wednesday at 12:30. Is there a second?
I'm gonna ask not next week, but the following week. If we can put it off.
Is there a problem with Wednesday?
Yeah, not next Wednesday, the following Wednesday.
Yeah, but is there a problem with this Wednesday? Because
Yes, I really want to go over this really, really good, and I don't have the time this week really to do it. So Wednesday's just too soon for me.
Okay, well,
I also-
anybody else got any ideas on time, whether they can work it out on Wednesday, whether we'll just open it to discussion right now? And then
I
I'll
won't
make
be
a
able
motion
to attend. I'm
accordingly.
in court on Wednesday.
You'll be in court? Okay. Okay, from what I'm hearing, let me reword that motion and see what happens. I am going to suggest that we have a special meeting. What is the date? 2 Wednesdays from now. June 11th? Is that what we're looking at? Well, today is the 21st, 20th, yeah, June 4th. Will that work better for you, Kevin?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Let me back up and reword it one more time. I'll make a motion for a special meeting on June 4th at 12:30 to do so as far as discussing the point of sale time and transfer in depth and in detail. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second, so we have a motion. Any discussion on it? Okay, we'll end the discussion. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Hey,
Motion carries.
Hey,
So we have 2 nays? I'm sorry, I couldn't really hear what you
didn't
said.
get the other one over there. Was there one down there? Okay. 3 and 2.
3 and 2. Okay. The second part of that concerns GLUA. The meeting last night was interesting, to say the least. I had sent something out to some of the board members. Timothy and I were both there. I sent something out to the rest of the board members because I tried this morning. The first thing I tried to do was get that video posted. Took a little bit of screwing around, and it turned out that Redline had it. Supervisor Hill and myself kind of pushed on them a little bit, and then they agreed that they would release it this afternoon to myself, Supervisor Hill, and Chairman Barnwell. So sat around, waited, never came. As far as I know, last time I looked at 6 o'clock, it never came. My concerns are that I think everybody should see the meeting first from the Township Board. We've been at this for 5 years. Started by a different Township Board, now it's up to us to dissolve it. The video didn't come through. My aspect as being the legal agent and the supervisor is that I would like to supply the material to the board members before they make a final decision. That is obviously not going to happen today, so I was suggesting that we wait 1 more week, because 1 more week is not that significant of a time frame. That would give everybody the opportunity to actually watch the video, and The second part being, I still have not, our attorney asked Scott Hess to confirm that the $66,000 that we probably, I shouldn't say that, $66,000 that may be owed to MDARD was actually settled. There was certainly a lot of discussion about it last night. All I asked for is somebody put it in black and white, tell me that's not there. It's disturbing to me that Scott Hess does not get back to our attorney on that question. So I'd like to wait a little bit, but that's just me. And that's missing okay, so I'm not demanding anything. We all have our conscience and our views. Now, if I could, let's open that up for some discussion, and then we'll move Trustee Detmer's motion to have a vote on it right into this. So how about some discussion from the board members on where they see what should happen with passing the resolution to start the dissolvement of GLUA?
I'll chime in because I was there last evening. Phil Check, board member Phil Check on the GLUA board, supplied us with information. The initial idea came from Susan Seamack because she just wasn't sure as grant writer that the idea of having to return any money from the grant is just not true. She's retracted that. Supervisor Bertrand knows that. I had reached out to Supervisor Hill and others on the same issue that if you use a grant for its intended purposes, there's nothing in the stipulation in any of the grants, MDARD, EGLE, or EPA, that state if you don't go through with the project, you have to give the money back. All of the money has been accounted for. It was used for its intended purpose with or without the project moving forward. So to me, that's a moot point. But what I would like to remind this board before we vote on it is that, against my better judgment, they passed a motion to strictly follow Mr. Bila, the township attorney for Lyon's advice. And I'm going to read a statement from him. Please find attached a resolution for the Lyon Township Board to consider regarding the GLUA dissolution. It discusses some background and then adopts a dissolution plan which largely directs GLUA itself to wrap things up and get us a final report on its money. Garris Township has adopted a very similar resolution. Quote, given Lyon's previous indications in support of this dissolution of GLUA, it is my recommendation that Lyon adopt this resolution. So will this board follow their own motion to follow legal advice and pass this tonight? Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Any other comments? Please use your microphone.
I think we've been a long time coming around to this decision with many different opinions going around. Do we owe the money? Are we going to owe the money regardless of how long this takes? Are we going to be absolved of this obligation to pay this money? I think seeing the meeting that was last night, I don't think that's going to sway my mind at all. I think this has become a giant headache, at least for me, and it's gone on too long. So I'd like to come up with some kind of a solution, and the board will speak.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else?
I think my motion speaks for itself.
You were pretty clear. The only thing that I would add is I was on record to kill GLUA as fast as it could as soon as the $1 million grant money looked like it couldn't be repurposed for anything. And then right after that, the $66,000 started floating around. I'm fine with having done what I felt I needed to do to make sure that everybody could be informed of the information and the video that's out there. And you are absolutely right, Mr. Pern, the board can speak to this. I don't have anything else to say. We have the motion to adopt a solution plan. Mr. Monet, would you like to do me a favor and read that, or do you feel we need to read it?
I have the resolution. It's on my phone. Sorry, I didn't print it out, but I do have the resolution.
I got a printed copy if
Oh, yeah, okay.
you want to read it.
Yep.
I'll take a little break here.
This is Wesley, oh, sorry. This is what was suggested to adopt in guidance with Garish's adoption. Whereas the Garish, this would say Lyon now, whereas the Garish-Lyon Utility Authority was established by, this in this case would be Lyon Township and Garish Township on April 13th of 2021 and April 21 of 2021 pursuant to Public Act 233 of 1955 MCL 124.281 for a sewage disposal system as defined in the Act. Whereas pursuant to MCL 124.282, the GLUA Articles of Incorporation were adopted by both constituent municipalities and published in the Houghton Lake Resorter for the express purpose of the authority to acquire, own, improve, enlarge, and extend and operate a sewage disposal system. Whereas Article 5 of the Articles of Incorporation provide the authority shall continue in existence perpetually or until dissolved by the act of both parties or by law, so long as any such dissolution would not operate as an impairment of any bonds, obligations, or contracts. Whereas each constituent municipality has recognized that the purpose for which the authority was created to acquire, own, improve, enlarge, extend, or operate a sewage disposal system, as that term is defined in the Act, no longer exists. Whereas on February 12, 2025, the GLUA Board passed a motion which recognizes the purpose for the authority was created has been eliminated, and recommended that both Garish Township and Lyon Township initiate the necessary steps to dissolve GLUA. Whereas GLUA applied for and received a Watershed Council grant in the amount of $40,000, as well as other personal and organizational donations, some of which it is believed to still hold, and was awarded a federal community project funding grant in the amount of $1 million administered through the EPA for those purposes specified in the grant applications to construct a sewer system. Lyon Township has received notification in writing the EPA grant has been voided and returned to the U.S. Treasury. Whereas on February 20th, 2025, the Garish Township Board passed resolution number 2025-02-20-07 to initiate the necessary steps to dissolve GLUA and to eliminate any residual liability to either of the constituent municipalities given the elimination of the reasons for creation of GLUA. Said resolution included GLUA taking any action required to wind up its affairs, including but not limited to ensuring any funds currently held by GLUA, which were donated to the authority for its intended purpose, be returned in full to any donors, or if not still in existence, that all donated funds be returned in prorate shares to the donors after payment of any outstanding expenses. Whereas on February 28, 2025, GLUA was informally requested by a member of the Garish Township Board to provide a copy of a complete audit required by March 31st, 2025 as required by Article 16 of the Articles of Incorporation, which would provide the necessary information to plan the next steps in the dissolution process, as well as a copy of last year's audit, and B, a concise list of all grant monies and/or donations received with the names and addresses of the donors. GLUA was also instructed to stop any outstanding work in progress by Fleiss and Vanderbrink and to request Fleiss to provide a final invoice as a part of the shutdown, and to ensure that Fleiss and any other contractors who have an outstanding invoice are paid in full and presented to the auditor. Finally, aside from any agreement with an auditor, GLUA was advised Lyon Township will not approve any new contract or agreement for future services or expenses. Whereas Garish Township has passed a resolution substantially similar to this one and has requested that Lyon Township adopt the same. Now, therefore, it is moved that the following dissolution plan be adopted by Lyon Township. A, the current current GLUA board committed its next meeting to each of the following steps to complete the dissolution of GLUA. 1. GLUA retain a qualified auditor with 10 days to begin and complete an audit of authority finances since inception as required by Article 16 of the Articles of Incorporation, including a concise list of all grant monies or any donations received with the names and addresses of the donors and all expenditures therefrom. 2. Immediate cancellation of all existing contracts on behalf of GLUA to stop any work which is in process except the audit. 3. Immediately notify all governmental entities of the pending dissolution. 4. Pay all outstanding obligations within 60 days. 5. Immediately close out any pending grants. 6. Provide Lyon and Garish Townships with a summary after all obligations and debts have been paid of any remaining funds in any GLUA account. Such funds shall either be returned to donors prorated, or where such return is unfeasible, research and discussion will be held and had as to whether there exist other organizations in the area whose purposes involve the health and safety of Higgins Lake, to whom the remaining funds could be transferred. B, once confirmation is received, the GLUA checking account has reached $0 and has been reconciled. Both constituent municipalities and townships pass appropriate resolutions to remove all board members of GLUA. C, both constituent townships pass a resolution to rescind the approval for the bylaws and articles of incorporation of GLUA, publish a copy of the resolution with the Houghton Lake Resorter, and provide a copy to both the Michigan Secretary of State and Roscommon County Clerk, and therefore dissolve the existence of GLUA as an authority created under Public Act 233 of 1955, MCL 124.281.
Isn't that another page?
Well, I ran out of air.
Yeah. Okay. So we are at the point now then that I would make a motion that we approve adopting that resolution plan for the Lyon Utility Authority, the dissolvement of the Lyon Utility Authority. Let me back that up. I'll make a motion on approval of the dissolution plan from our attorney for the Lyon Utility Authority. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll give it a second there.
Okay, we have a second. So we have a motion. Is there any additional discussion on it?
Yes, what did you mean by our attorney?
This was sent to us by our attorney, what he just read,
Okay, all right,
as opposed to the one that Garish had come up with.
right.
I would personally like the motion to say that Lyon Township is withdrawing from GLUA and will begin the dissolution immediately. And then if something like that comes as a part of it, but the first step is to agree that we want to get out of GLUA, that we want to dissolve it. That's the first step that we got to do. I'm tired of waiting for attorneys' opinions and all those kind of things. I want to say right now, Lyon Township is done with GLUA. We're going to dissolve it as of this date, and we're going to begin the dissolution now.
Can I make a suggestion? Would this be acceptable, that at this point in time, we motion to move forward with the dissolution process of GLUA as set up in the Articles of Incorporation following this protocol sent from the attorney, which is that right there. Now, we can't give a date because it's going to take months. This is already behind by 5 months. This is going to take probably another 5 to 6 months, if not a year, to get done with this. So we can't give you a date. I can tell you that right now, being on the GLUA board. But we can say we are done with GLUA. We accept that fact. We are moving forward with dissolution, and we'll follow this procedure to do it.
Well, I like the procedure, but what I don't like is I don't have a copy of it in my hand with Lyon Township's name on it. We're fudging in Lyon Township's names over Garish Townships and all that kind of stuff. I want the thing to say that right now that we have plans that we withdraw from GLUA, and we're starting plans to the dissolution of GLUA, and if that means printing one of those out with those things in it, then I'm in favor
Actually,
of
it says right there, at a meeting of the Lyon Township Board, all we have to do is fill in the date and accept this as presented.
Oh, they sent us.
This came from the attorney. It says Lyon Township right on it, at our meeting.
Okay. I still would like to have one
Oh,
in my hand.
and rightfully so, you should. This was supposed to be forwarded to all of the board members.
I'd like to have a copy of that in my hand, and I'd probably be in favor of that.
Did it not get forwarded?
I don't want to see that.
Wait a minute, you said you had it on your phone, Timothy. I thought it got forwarded to everybody.
It's not my authority to forward it, so I never forwarded it.
No, I mean, when this came in, the attempt was made to forward it to all the board members. Where did you get the one on your phone?
Bila. The attorney that I'm not supposed to contact.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But through you.
Well, wait a minute. You mean because I sent it after you sent it to me, or you asked him and he sent it to you?
I would never ask Mr. Beal a question. I never
Just-
have.
Just
So-
tell me, because there was if it didn't get to all of you, that was a misstep on our part. That was certainly the intention.
Let's see.
Just see if it came from me or Clerk Pern.
Yeah, it came from no, it says from Michael Bila to supervisor and clerk. How it ended up in my folder, well, there it is.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been, from there, it should have went to everybody. Yeah, because I only have this one because I assumed you guys all had it. Okay. Yeah.
Well, then I would like to suggest, so everyone would feel more comfortable, that we adopt a motion to move forward with the dissolution process and then we will set up, if you're gonna have a special meeting on June 4th, we'll have to have that itemized, that until such a time that everyone receives a formal copy of the dissolution process as it should have been in the first place. Are you okay with that?
This is going along with the attorney's advice then, his.
Correct. Well, he recommended dissolution, so.
No, I understand.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Well, then let's back up to, I will make a motion that we accept this dissolution plan and review it again on the 4th at our meeting. And formalize any of the language or changes that need to happen in it to be specific to Lyon Township. Will that work?
I don't want to kick the can down the road. I want my motion to go in, I want it to be voted on, and then if we go there, we go there. I want my
So you
motion to
want
be
a separate
voted on.
motion that we're out. You want a separate motion that we're out.
I want our motion, I want
Okay.
it to go, so we know that the line's drawn in the sand right here. From here on out, we're done.
All right, let me back up further. Is there any other discussion? And I'll try and get a motion or two that'll work.
Got a motion in a second, I think is what he's trying to say.
We already had a motion and a second. He would like to have a separate motion that we are out on GLUA, and then another one that we're going to adopt this as the way we're going to do it, if I'm hearing that correct.
Before I vote for that, I want that voted in.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Okay,
So my motion is Lyon Township withdraws from GLUA and begins dissolution immediately. That's my motion.
okay. Well, we could strike the fact that we have a second and back up even further. I'll make the motion that Lyon Township withdraw from GLUA immediately. Will that satisfy your needs on it?
Well, it's withdraw from GLUA and begin dissolution, because
Okay.
we can't just say we're out, we're out.
I'll
We
make a
gotta go to
motion that
dissolution.
we withdraw from GLUA and begin the dissolution immediately.
Yes.
Okay, we have a second. Is there
I
any
will second.
discussion on that?
Sure, second.
Got a couple of them already. Is there any other discussion on it? Okay, you better do a roll call on that, Clerk Pern. I'm not sure if it qualifies for money involved, but it probably does.
Treasurer Hobbs.
Yes.
Wait.
Treasurer Bertrand.
I made the motion. He seconded it. That's the motion. I made it.
The supervisor has to read it.
I did repeat it. Well, let me see it. I can say it again for another time. You had made the correction. Okay, I will make a motion that Lyon Township withdraws from GLUA and begins dissolution immediately. Yeah, that's what I said the last time, but, okay. So I'm making a motion. Do we got a second? Speak up. It's hard to hear down here.
Second.
Okay, there we go. So we got a motion. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, we'll end the discussion. So on the motion as stated. Could we do a roll call vote, please, Clerk Perrin?
Okay, Treasurer Hobbs will do it again?
Yes, for the third time.
Yes. Supervisor Bertrand?
No.
Trustee Monet?
Yay.
Trustee Detmer?
Yes.
Trustee Kern? Yes.
Okay, then the motion carries 4-1. Now, I'll make a motion that Lyon Township adopt the dissolution plan that we just went over from our attorney as the means to further the dissolution of GLUA.
I'd really like to see it first. I'd like to have it in my hand, so I thought we were gonna do that on the 4th.
I can word it that way. I can make a motion that we adopt the dissolution plan for from Garrish Lyon Utility Authority and do it at a special meeting on June 4th, as far as working out any additional details.
I don't even know if it requires a motion.
Well, I made one, so if we got a second, that'll get us down the road.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion for that as stated. Is there any additional discussion?
Just to clarify, everyone will have their copies in their hand, correct? In their mailbox, in their hand, way ahead of time of June 4th, at least 7 to 10 days to
Oh,
review
these,
this.
if you didn't get them on that email, I'll check tomorrow and
Okay.
send them back out.
Very good. I'm good.
Okay. So on that motion as stated, end the discussion, and Clerk Pern, to be safe, please do a roll call on that too.
Okay, would you read that motion again, please?
I made a motion to adopt, the Lyon Township adopt the dissolution plan from the Garrish Lyon Utility Authority, and to discuss it at a special meeting on June 4th. And we had a second. We went through the discussion, so I'm asking for a roll call vote.
I'd just like to discuss it a bit more. I haven't seen it. And I'm not gonna say that I want it to go through if I haven't seen it, if I don't have it in my hand. I wanna have it in my hand, I wanna look at it, and then we'll discuss it on the 4th. It doesn't require a motion, we'll discuss it on the 4th. If everybody's good with it, we'll pass it. If nobody's good with it, we won't pass it.
So you're saying you're happy with the previous motion we just did, that we are out of GLUA,
Yes.
and you can wait until the 4th until
Yes,
this?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
With further discussion, does anybody else have anything to say about that? And then I will just withdraw it as a motion. Okay. Well, that was interesting.
Sorry.
No, it ain't, it's fine. Hey, this is messy business. Okay, next thing on the agenda is Parks and Rec Committee update on buoys and sand at the parks. The buoys, we passed the motion to pay for the new buoys, and John Walsh will do it. Excuse me. He went to pick up the stickers today, and he was going to get the pipe from a plumbing wholesaler in Grayling. Did try to get it here, can't get it here. So I would expect that he's gonna start working on that next week. So we missed our target of trying to have it in there before Memorial Weekend, but it should get in there reasonably quick. The second thing is the sand at the parks, the needed sand. I had Roger Saxon, the Roscommon County Road Commissioner, liaison for us. We drove around yesterday and looked at it. He's suggesting that we just get contracted out because the county being involved in it would probably be more costly than somebody else we can get. So that's just an update on where that's at. The next thing on the agenda, I know when this was created, it was typed in as two on the same line to try and keep this on one page. We actually need to do these separately. The first one is a resolution number 2025-011 for the Township of Lyon, Roscommon County credit card use. Some of you are probably already aware we had a kind of a problem with debit cards, and we're switching over to credit cards. So this is a resolution that we go with credit cards moving forward for the Township of Lyon, for Lyon Township. I'll make a motion that we do this. It's not anything that got kicked around, it's just like, we gotta move forward on this stuff. So I'll make a motion that we adopt that resolution 2025-011 for credit card use for Lyon Township. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any, we have the motion, is there any discussion on it? Okay, I'll end the discussion. So on the motion to approve adopting resolution 2025-011, can we have a roll call vote on that, please, Clerk Pern?
Okay, I don't know why we need it, but
Money, money, money.
there was money in the debit card. We're just getting rid of a problem area and trying to make it easier, but are you sure? Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
Treasurer Hopper,
Yes.
Clerk Pern, yes. Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
Trustee Monet.
Aye.
Okay, a motion carries 5-0. Next one is a resolution 2025-012 for the Fire Department Township of Lyon, Roscommon County credit card use. This has got to do with trying to free up the fire department chief to be able to buy a set of turnout gear on the spot instead of having to try and come back to the township board and have a meeting for it. There was some estimates of $3,500, maybe $400 or $4,000. I personally don't care what the amount is. I think we should approve it so that it's not some kind of crazy situation where they don't have the equipment they need, and it ends up being that they have to try and get the township board together to have a meeting to do it. So it is somewhat cut and dry in regards to that. The next thing on the agenda is actually putting a cap on it. But for the resolution 2025-012 for a Lyon Fire Department credit card use, I will make a motion to approve adopting resolution 2025-012. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any discussion on it? The discussion is that the chief said he'll come back with us to make sure we approve this stuff as soon as he knows the amount and takes care of business. But the deal was that we'd always get some kind of an accounting for him. And I said, that's fine with me, but I know the turnout gear is expensive.
Okay. Is there any additional discussion? Okay, on the motion to approve adopting resolution 2025-012, could we have a roll call vote on that too, please, Clerk Pern?
Treasurer Howe.
Yes.
Supervisor Bertrand.
Yes.
Clerk Kern, yes. Trustee Detmer.
Yes.
Trustee Monet.
No.
Okay, the motion carries 4-1. Next thing on the agenda is the approval of a $4,000 purchasing cap for the fire chief. That again goes right back to the possibility of some emergency need for equipment without having to have a township board meeting in reference to what was called turnout gear. I'll make that motion to approve that cap at $4,000. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any further discussion on it? Okay, we'll end the discussion. So on the motion as stated at a cap of $4,000, could we again have a roll call vote, please, Clerk Byrne?
Trustee Monet.
Only because I haven't had time to review this, nay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That was a nay.
Okay. Trustee Detmer.
Aye.
Treasurer House.
Yes.
Supervisor Bertrand.
Yes.
Clerk Byrne, yes.
Okay, the motion carries 4-1. Next is this is just discussion, on a proposal, the Roscommon County Sheriff's Department writing tickets for violations for township ordinances and immediate response for trespassing. I've been working with Under Sheriff Lowe on this for a couple of weeks. I'm waiting for his response right now. Trustee Detmer brought up a great point that we don't want to reinvent the wheel or double down on anything. If they already have ordinances or laws specific to this, that we would just pursue that, we make sure our township residents understand that it is not us they need to call if they feel their life is in danger or somebody's trespassing, or if there's anything in regards to noise ordinance. We are never going to be 24/7. We can't be responsive in that manner. Again, still going back to trying to separate police business from township business. So it is currently in limbo. I'm waiting on Under Sheriff Lowe, only a couple of days, to respond as to what they already do, and if doing anything here would just be redundant to it. So, moving on. The next thing is an increase the pay of the maintenance department head to $18.50 an hour. You want a microphone back there? Okay. Increase the pay of the maintenance department head to $18.50 an hour. I put on here, we all know why, possibly for the trustees who are not here on a daily basis, you wouldn't know why, but he's been working very hard alone. We now have him some help. They're getting a lot of stuff done. When we were hired, we gave a lot of people raises right off the bat to keep good people here. He's good people. We're now catching up to this fact. To go to $18.50 for him, I believe that's coming up from 16. At 16, he's only making $1 more than his helper. That seems a bit ridiculous. So I will make that motion to approve that raise as stated.
Second?
Okay, we got a second. So we have a motion. Is there any discussion on it? Okay, we'll end the discussion. On that motion to approve the raise to the maintenance head to $18.50, can we have a roll call, please? Clerk Pern. It's getting to be like a record.
Clerk Kern, yes. Trustee Detmer.
Yes.
Trustee Monet.
Aye.
Trustee, Treasurer House. And Supervisor Bertrand.
Yes. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Next, sadly, is to accept the resignation of the Deputy Supervisor, Jonette Fay, effective on June 13th. I can only say that I support her reasons. They're going to remain private. Nobody really knows as much as I do how much she did in the early days and continues to do now because we work together. This is a sad day for the township. I could only wish her luck if she watches the video, and I already have. Good luck in whatever her future plans might be. So that being said, I will make the motion to accept, or that we accept the resignation of Deputy Supervisor Fay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion?
Yeah, we're gonna be missing a very good lady. A very good lady will be leaving our little group, and we're gonna miss her greatly. So I wish her well as well.
Any other discussion? Okay, on the motion to accept Jeanette's resignation, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same? Motion carries. The rest of this I will try and go through as fast as I can, because I'm sure everybody's getting tired of this. The Roscommon County Road Commission work on the compost site. I went down with Roger Saxton. We've been looking at the problems there. First, we were thinking we had to truck a bunch of it out of there for a lot of money. Then looked at the possibility of just operating the place a little bit more effectively, getting rid of some of it. Roger came down there, and for the cost, what really is needed is you need a front-end loader, possibly an excavator, to rotate those piles of leaves so that they are actually being broke down to the point where they get to the end row and are supposed to be ready to haul out. Right now, our end row is not ready because it's not being treated correctly. So we got all these leaves in there, and the same thing happened 6 years ago with all those leaves, and they had to hire Nick Sargent and Wade to come in there and push it all off to the side. Apparently, we didn't get any smarter in the last 6 years. Roger gave us an estimate. The cost of a front end loader is, I mean, forget it for us. He can supply us a front end loader with an operator for a day's work at about $1,500. I'm here to tell you that is considerably less than trying to pay somebody to haul it out of there. We also passed a raise in the price of for the fees to use the compost site, and we now have GFL picking up some of the leaves anyway. So it's going in the right direction. I'm just making you guys aware. I will talk to him again about using an excavator instead. I was out there again today. An excavator, you could just run right over the top of those things and it's going to churn stuff up. At some point, real soon, it'll turn into be at the work session or sooner to pull the trigger on this and get out there and do 1 day's work. With the intent, if you do 1 day's work, then we can see where we're at, how it's looking, if we like that. I personally favor, if we have to pay them $1,500 a year to come out there and keep that place running the right way, sign me up. So just making you aware of that. Discussion on a new fire department sign on Old 27. We've discussed this previously. The sign on Old 27 for the fire department is a little bit small when you're going 60, 65 miles an hour. We here at the Township are in desperate need of a better sign. The plan currently in the works is that they could buy a new sign using the fire department funds, because they do want a new one, a bigger one. And we would take that old one and put it out here. Currently, that's right where it is right now. The next step is to see exactly what they want, how much money that would cost. I would really like to get this done in the next couple of weeks. We need the signs, the fire department sign and the one that we put here would both be able to advertise everything that we got going on, including the concerts. So that's where that is. The next thing is the discussion on the, quick discussion on the short-term rental. At that meeting for Higgins Lake Property Owners Association for the summer safety, I brought up what we were working on at the short-term rental was in our planning commission. Yes, sir, what'd I miss?
Road end.
Oh, you were correct, sir. Let me back up. The next thing is discuss posting the public road ends. This is another thing that Roger and I went and looked at. There's a couple of road ends where the people are they're growing grass and taking over on the whole thing. At least when I ran to take this, I said that one of the things we do is to try and make sure that we take back control over the public right of way on those roads, which does not mean I'm trying to go against the Jacobs ruling. It just means that the public right of way, on some houses, they are consistently parking there in order to make it appear like it's not public right of way. And at least one that we looked at, they're just turning it into their lawn. He made a very good point. At Holton Lake, they have the same problems. He said people are not comfortable. They do not understand where they can go and where they don't, or where they can't go because it's not signed properly. So they have started using 4x4 posts to put in their road right away at the entrance to the roads that are public access. And they're marked, it says Roscommon County Road Commission or just Road Commission, I'm not sure. There's also colors that can be used, blue and white, green and white. They're doing this in Holton Lake as it comes up, they're rotating over to this stuff. I can tell you this, putting in metal signs or doing anything close to the right of way, that's not happening. The amount of money and hoops you have to jump through to do that is a considerable task compared to them just marking their county right of way on roads that they have to plow. That's pretty much what it comes down to. People cannot block those roads. People should have access to go down to the road end, take a boat, even if they could launch a boat there. It is up to them. It is a public right of way. They cannot park and block it. So the suggestion is, and that's why I'm waiting on the undersheriff, if that's happening, call the police. Again, this is a police matter, not a township matter. I can sympathize with the not comfortable. I bet everybody in this room has had some sort of an experience where you're looking at it going, can I or can't I? That's, no thanks. We'll see what we can do about that. Okay, back to Lyon Township short-term rental. As I mentioned, we talked about this at that meeting. I got this from Supervisor Hill. Have you guys formalized your short-term rental ordinance yet? I understand from talking with Stan Gardner and Markey that yours is pretty similar to theirs. If so, I'd love to get some similar style with Lyon for consistency if our boards pursue the implementation of something. This is an olive branch, considerable. If we could work together with them so we had a universal short-term policy, and I don't know that it would work out that way. The last time I talked with Sam, I don't believe we have another meeting set for the Planning Commission to do their first review of it. But it is interesting to know that after that meeting, they appear to be reaching out. The number I heard was they have about 145 of them. I've also heard they want to ban them. This doesn't sound like they want to ban them. It sounds like they're really interested in what we're doing. So we'll pursue that. At least I will pursue that.
145?
That's the number I heard.
Wow. That's triple ours. More than triple.
So I would only encourage, I hope we get a planning commission meeting date set coming up reasonably soon. Looks like we got maybe some mutual, I don't know that it'd ever be the same, but we got common ground here, I think. For announcements, Higgins Lake, Roscommon Chamber of Commerce, Tracy Smith was here. We're getting a big fish. It's a great thing because they sponsor tours, water tours to it, land tours. This is great for us, absolutely great. For those of you who didn't know it, that's coming. Friends of Lyon Township is being restarted by the Parks and Rec Committee. They will end up taking some responsibility for moving forward using Friends of Lyon Township in the capacity of we're going to recruit heavily for sponsors for the bands. Those same people, there's no reason that we can't do that to reinvigorate Friends of Lyon Township. As in approaching B&B Marina, Landmark Restaurant, Go Fast Rental. The way it is set up right now, we can, if they sponsor for $250, I'm getting the whole package tomorrow, I believe. $250, they get 63 spots for that week, where the particular band that's playing that week is then sponsored by that business. They would be live streamed, they would be on their sports channel. They get to put their logo and a link, a dedicated page to that, and they stay on QON's page after that. It's a pretty good deal. I'm hoping that we can sell those out reasonably quick, starting within Lyon Township. And talking with Tracy, we're starting to work together. There's no reason on this planet, and Tracy's already doing it. They're helping promote our stuff. We're gonna help promote their stuff.
On that note, is the Friends of Lyon Township gonna resurrect the can collection again?
Not a clue.
No, okay.
The next thing would be create a waterfront beach at Bass Avenue and Ironwood Road. That is down by the AMVets. It is township property. Roger and I went and looked at it. He was involved in it before. The assumption was it was county. It's not county, it's township. Friends of Lyon previously were bringing sand down there and making a little beach area right by the culvert that's Little Creek. Because kids, they come down here in golf carts, people come down in golf carts, but little kids can play there right in the water by the stream mouth, which is a lot of fun. I'm checking into it because I got back to where Julie Tatro had offered that they should create their own Friends of Lyon Township should create a separate ordinance to see if the board would approve it. Her statement was that ordinances are permissive in nature. In other words, if it didn't say you could, she wasn't going to agree with it. I actually think that's exactly the opposite. Every ordinance that I see tells you about things you can't do. But I'm going to pursue that with the attorney on the definition of the permissive thing. Sam was involved in some of this before, as was Jeremy McKee. The Parks and Rec Commission is going to try and put it back together with Leanne and get a group of people. They've already offered they'll take care of it. Hopefully we can make that happen. Again, Roger's saying don't rely on the county to do it. You're going to be better off having a contractor come in there if you want to put the sand in. Last but not least, the compost site will be open Saturday and Sunday as scheduled, because I'm going to go down there and keep it open. And that's just the way it is.
Have fun.
Yeah, I'll be having a blast.
You want us to bring it a hot dog or anything?
No, it's fine. Okay, we are now to the point where we have hit public comment. We're at about an hour and a half. It's not horrible yet. If anybody got anything to say, come on, right on up here and say it.
So on the can drive thing, Beaver Creek Township has started doing a can drive thing. I'm not sure if it's them specifically, but they were talking about it. And all the money will be used for school supplies and stuff for the needy kids in the area. So I can get you some information once I get some more, but that's a really good thing because a lot of us have cans to get rid of that we don't like taking back, and that ended.
Just to say,
Brian Cook,
Parks and Rec, we're meeting Friday at 9:30.
Okay.
So I hope I asked them to go out and look at everything, tell us what we think we need.
Yep. It was brought to my attention that some emails that I replied to this whole board in regards to GLUA didn't actually get to all the board members. One of them was about 3 weeks ago that I had sent. One thing to mention to you guys, up until 2 years ago, this didn't seem to be an issue. But in the last 2 years, I've had to go look in my spam and my trash folder every single day because real important emails are ending up there as spam for crazy reasons. Because they've added a lot of logic to consider stuff spam that's really not. So I would recommend that if you're not, that would be a good practice to look at, and especially on the township email accounts, because they're even more restrictive. Stuff I get from the township goes to my spam folder occasionally.
Let me say one thing on
Sure.
that, because I'm right with you. We used to have a quarantine program through VC3 where they would filter out everything they wanted to throw out and show you first. And then you could go through and say, yeah, that's junk, and then, you'd find those things. Then they pulled it from us. So I requested, okay, what else you got? Because right now, I hit my spam, it doesn't even show me spam. They take it all out. All I got is about 15 things in the trash. And I'm averaging 15 emails a day. Where are they going? If you figure out a way to make this better, please let me know.
Well, we left VC3 with the utility authority, so we don't have that issue no more. On the email thing, this is how bad it was. We received an email from our attorney. We simply just did a reply back, and it came back, it was blocked. And we're like, what is going on? It had the word please in the subject line. That's what banned it. We had a GLUA board meeting last night. I think there's some important information of things that transpired at that meeting that I have not heard mentioned here today, one of which is the GLUA board approved canceling closing both the EPA grant, or the $1 million EPA grant, and the $100,000 MDARD, the Michigan Department of Agriculture Rural Development loan grant. So both those were approved to be canceled, closed out, paperwork's gonna be sent. It came up, there's actually a third grant from Eagle. I'm not sure exactly the dollar amount. That is being left open at this time because they're gonna try and get I think there's $11,000 that we will be able to collect from that grant. So that's why that one's been left open for a little bit now. We are looking at approximately $53,000 to $54,000 is what's going to be left in the bank account for GLUA once everything's all said and done as far as what's been paid out. There is some minor miscellaneous costs that we're probably going to incur closing this out. One is we may incur some additional audit costs possibly if we have to do another one. We're looking at maybe getting some attorney opinion for a small dollar amount, so those things will probably transpire. Once we get the money or do whatever with the Eagle grant, I'm sure the GLUA board will immediately cancel that grant out too. As far as the $66,000, I've read the agreement. Everything I've heard is it's done. We don't have to pay it back. We already spent it. We spent it what we're allowed to. No obligation there. So that should be all good. There is a big question on what to do with the remaining money. That's going to be addressed. The next GLUA meeting is scheduled for June 10th.
9th or 10th, somewhere in there.
It's Tuesday, the second Tuesday in June at 7 p.m. And the hope there is to be able to move a little more forward with some things. So we've already started shutting stuff down there. That's pretty much all I have, unless you guys have some questions for me.
I have one, Brian. Do you have anything about that 66,000 in writing?
Yeah, it's called the grant agreement. The grant agreement is very clear. If it's been spent, and it's been spent on what it's allowed to be spent on, you don't owe it back. That's it. It's just a normal grant agreement. Yep. I don't know where the confusion started, because when it was brought up that potentially, it was mentioned that to check because potentially might have to be repaid back. Susan Seamack at the same time said, I don't believe that's true. Nobody believed it was true that it would ever have to be paid back based on the language in the grant. So I'm not sure how that whole thing ended up where it did, but for me, I never ever had any worry that any money would ever have to be paid back.
We had a lot of worries.
Still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of utility authority experience. One thing that's kind of confusing me right now is the amount of money and effort both townships are spending on attorneys for things that are the responsibility of the GLUA board, and it has to be done by them. Most of this stuff to shut GLUA down, except for the very last step, is GLUA's responsibility, neither townships. So, sorry, I'm just.
Well, it is now.
But if you guys got any other questions.
Not a question. I do know what started me on this was the mention of the 66, but then Susan sent an email and said to everyone in that clique of people who were talking at that time that if you ran the grant out to the end of the period, then we wouldn't know anything, which would have been February 2026, something like that. That's kind of where it started right there, is why the heck are we thinking about money we might owe? If we just ride this thing, it'll go away. Just as background to it. So we're good. We're out now.
I think it was, there was a comment made, and then it kind of snowballed a little bit, and people were looking at different things as, oh, if we actually did have to, maybe this is a different route to take. So there was a lot of what ifs going on. I don't think any of it was really ever going to happen, but there was just a lot of people looking at stuff just in case type stuff. Thank you, guys.
I'll make a quick comment. This helps clarify it even more. The Articles of Incorporation are very clear. The townships didn't get the grants, GLUA got the grants. So no matter which way you slice and dice it, Garish Township nor Lyon Township couldn't legally ever be on the hook for the grants because the articles say that GLUA is allowed to acquire the grants. So this whole thing does even say we're going to put off the dissolution process because we're worried about $66,000 is ridiculous because the money never was acquired by the townships, therefore you can't be legally obligated to pay it back. It was acquired by GLUA.
Yeah, GLUA is a separate governmental entity from both townships. It's municipal, just like the townships. They're legally responsible for their own things. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Come right up, sir. The microphone should be on. Please state your name and where you're from, too.
Yeah, Jason Trout's properties in Lyon Township. I had a concern about the resolution for the $4,000 for the police, or not police, the fire situation. I didn't see any or hear any qualifications or quantifications. Is this $4,000 per transaction, $4,000 per day, $4,000 per week, month, year? Where's this cap? It's a $4,000 cap, and I'm just, personally, I'm not clear if anybody ever talked about quantifying what the $4,000 limit is.
I can give you the information that this was about the turnout gear. One set of turnout gear would be approximately $3,500. $4,000 was a safe bet that we didn't get hung up, over a couple $100 and not be able to buy it.
I heard a discussion about the turnout gear. I don't remember hearing that particular.
Well, I voted no because until I would have time to review the situation more, I can't in good conscience without those quantifiers as you're speaking of, so.
My ear may not have been perfectly tuned, but I didn't hear a discussion or a motion concerning gear. I heard a $4,000 cap, and I'm not sure what that cap applies to. So,
From what I read in the use of the credit card by the fireman, it tells what he can use it for, and it sets limitations on what purposes he uses it for, and it is liable if he uses it outside of his authority, and the $4,000 is a cap to do that. That's the way I read it, because I took them as both part of the same. I know they were different votes, but they're both related to each other.
Any other comments? Come on up. Don't knock each other over getting there. Try and keep it under 5. We're running real late.
Mine's short today. John Bartle, Lyon Township. I don't know where you guys are at in the short-term rental agreement, but it's my opinion that there needs to be a limit on the number of properties that are allowed. I have no problem with somebody who rents their cottage for a week or something, but I do have a problem with the guys who are the constant, the commercial guys. And I know trying to discriminate between that is going to be difficult, but if if anybody who's been near one of those where they have people who really don't have a lot of regard for what's going on, they're up to have a good time and they're leaving afterward. We don't have any real police presence here. You've got neighbors who are going over there, they're interacting with these guys, telling them to be quiet. They got fireworks going off. It could be a bunch of knuckleheads on a bachelor party. People take things in their own hands. So I really do think that needs to be limited. And so that's my input. I really feel very firmly that there needs to be a limit on that.
And if I can make a comment, thank you, John. Being on the planning commission, one of the things I'm adamant about is that we will look at the numbers, and for me, there will be a cap. Even with the last board, she did her due diligence. She took 2 days. She found every single rental that's listed, Airbnb, Vrbo, and otherwise. We have a rough number. I will suggest to the planning commission that we look at that number and see where we're at that time. But yes, I agree. Thank you.
I think the number should be limited as well. And I also think that these people that have a problem with some noisemakers or third party carrying on or parking on somebody else's property, call the police. We gotta get the police involved. We don't have a police force. And we can't be it. My God, somebody come out with us, after us with a pickaxe or something. The police need to be notified if there's violations of this. But yes, all that stuff does need to be looked at. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Come right on up. Mr. Robinson.
This thing working okay?
Yep, state your name and where you're from, just for the
Bill
record.
Robinson, Lyon Manor. I've got a couple of comments to make about ordinances in general, but also, obviously there's overlap between what the sheriffs can do, and we don't want to be duplicating what they're doing and vice versa. And so when it's appropriate, we ought to rely on the resources, but also be very practical about what their capacity is to respond. It seems from my experience with township ordinances that we rely almost entirely on a complaint basis for compliance. In other words, we don't really have much of a proactive program to educate people as to what the ordinances are and what the consequences are, if you violate the ordinances in bad faith. You made some comments earlier about the legal interpretation from the township attorney about, how much latitude there is to interpret ordinances and rules, locally here. And one thing I don't want us to do is to think that we have incredible latitude to accommodate things, but there has to be, as you said, Paul, some reasonable discussion and resolution to problems as they come along. But I don't think we can be making up rules. When all of you were running for the township here, I think as a group, you all had complaints about the way that the then current administration was dealing with certain issues that have to do with, for example, FOIA requests. You also had some issues about the notifications that were not given appropriately for meetings that took place. And people were not aware that things were happening. So there's a lot of different ways that we can get into kind of like really little problems here and there, but I just wondered whether we need to have a philosophical discussion about how we're going to approach township ordinance enforcement, for example. Some things, obviously, we're going to hand over to the sheriff's department. People could call if there's a safety problem or whatever. But on the other hand, there's some other things that are going on in plain daylight here that there doesn't seem to be a really effective way to deal with proactively. Now, I suppose an individual citizen could make a complaint. It gets a little awkward if it's your neighbor that you're complaining about and you realize that your neighbor isn't going to be very receptive to the idea of accommodating the ordinance. So I'd be interested at some future meeting to understand the philosophy of the board in general about how we should go about this. How much energy should we put into public education so that people know what the ordinances are? What can we do to make them more aware of it? Part of this has to do with things like the burning ordinance. And I've brought this up a couple times in different formats. A number of years ago, there was a big problem with some people doing a huge amount of leaf burning down in my area. And the clerk's office would call, and at the time, the individual in the clerk's office said, "We'll call 911." And the response was, "Well, this isn't an emergency. No, there's not a building on fire. There's not a forest fire. There's just somebody who's burning leaves and yard waste, and it smokes everywhere here. And how do we deal with it?" And they said, "Call 911." And that's always kind of stuck in my head. If we're going to fall back on 911, well, where does 911 go if you call it here for a fire? It's going to go to the fire department, right? So this seems like we're chasing our tail with that kind of thinking, and maybe that thinking isn't even around anymore, but getting back to the whole general subject of ordinances, I really think we need to do more public education so that people can't be unaware of what the requirements are, what the regulations are. And I think that's probably a lot more neighborly way to deal with ordinance compliance. But on the other hand, if people obviously don't really care and they're going to go ahead and do it anyways, then I think there ought to be some mechanism to go ahead and deal with it without having to necessarily call the sheriff. I don't think the sheriff's department's going to be interested in somebody burning yard waste here. So anyways, that's about all I've got to say right now, but it is one of my pet peeves that seems like it's easy enough to create an ordinance, but it's another thing to be able to actually enforce it.
I would agree with you. I can tell you that the point of sale time of transfer ordinance built into it is an education program on septic systems, which would be similar to what you're talking about, more public education along with what you do. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Bill.
Any other comments? Come right on up. I think you look familiar. Andrew, you okay, or you got to get out of here?
I'm good.
We got to talk about the money you get paid for these when it goes this long.
I just want to talk about Friends of Lyon Township, which I'm very aware of. So I'm not sure that they still have their 501(c) because it's been dissolved for 2 years. And if they do, they'll have to file taxes for the past 2 years. And the state of Michigan always takes $25 a year. If they don't have their 501(c) plus the tax exempt number, you'll have to go through the whole process again to get the 501(c).
Thank you. It won't be me. I'm backing out. I'm only a member of Parks and Rec. It's them that has to take this.
Well,
I'm just telling you so you can make them aware of it. I mean, they're gonna have to file taxes the past 2 years, federal and then pay the state. I think it was $25 a year.
I can certainly make them aware. Is there anybody else left besides you? And
No, I'm not with, I mean, we dissolved it. We
Yeah, 'cause there was
distributed all the money, mostly all over to AMVets and to the library.
I will make sure they understand that. Thanks. Any other comments? Sure, come on up, Patty.
Patty Dennis, Lyon Township, and it's a broken record for me. I don't know that I can attend the special meeting that you guys determined for your septic ordinance discussion, so I just need to state again how strongly I feel that that is not sufficient on its own, and that you can educate people all you want, and when they don't want to believe it or don't want to do it, it won't matter. And so unless you put some teeth into your ordinance requiring inspections and pump outs, it will not happen just in good faith, because that's where we've been for the last however many years. So I just wanted to state that once again. And I am going to also state that I am still very concerned about the money that's being spent by this board. It seems like there's a lot of extra money that has been spent that I'm not sure that we have. So, thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Anybody else out there? I know Mr. Bedoyan's gonna put the cap on it here.
Sam Bedoyan Jr., Lyon Township.
Grab your mic if you could, Sam.
Sam Bedoyan Jr., Lyon Township. Years ago, when Ed Nellis was supervisor, he knew the sheriff back in those days. We had an audience with the sheriff, and we simply asked him if we could divert the Roscommon County Sheriff Department, instead of passing through North State Park to Old 27 and going south to Houghton Lake, if they would deviate and go around Higgins Lake Boulevard. Now, what that did over the years, that's given some exposure. They drive right through the entire township. That's been going on for several years, thanks to Ed Nellis. Now, when you get into the laws, the township ordinances, most of them will not be compliable for the sheriff department to act on. Usually, the sheriff's department, state police have to act on laws. Like there is at a road end, there's a law that if you leave your boat moored between 12 and 6, you will get a ticket. It's the law that they can enforce. No different than giving somebody a speeding ticket on the expressway. That's the law. That's just an example. And also, we've always had a very close relationship, working relationship with the Roscommon County Sheriff's Department. But on holidays, they can be stretched. But you also have the state police. I'm just making that announcement because a lot of people forget about the state police. And I know there's been a lot of stress and tension that's been going on since the concept when we had the first meeting at the new fire hall years ago regarding the sewer. Well, what you've done tonight is more or less like a day of reckoning. Now the healing process can start. And for that, I want to say thank you. Because I think you'll find now, as board members and the public, that this has been stressful and frustrating to a lot of us over the years. Meetings, discussions, accusations, et cetera, elections, on and on. Well, I think you'll find, give it some time, that the healing process will take care of its own course.
And I'm not going to get biblical here, but life is for the living, that we're still here. Every day is precious to us. You've achieved the goal now to remove GLUA. That's a big deal to a lot of us in the community. It may not resonate right now, but it is, because there was a lot of dissension, a lot of discord. And I think now that you'll find that this healing process will take time and you'll be acknowledged for it later, maybe not right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Sure, come on up.
Marty Barta, Lyon Township. This is the second time I've sat here and listened to Mr. Badouian talk about how the community is very glad that GLUA has been stopped and that the sewer project has been stopped, but that is not the case. There are many, many, many people, well over 50% of the township residents in the SAD who wanted to see this project go ahead. And so your board is not representing the people who cannot vote here. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Yes. Dan Murray, just on. Dan Murray, Lyons Township. I noticed on compost site for the Roscommon Road Commission to do work there, you did not have to take a vote on that?
It's not proposed to happen yet. That was what the
Okay,
cost was
all
going
right.
to be.
And another thing on the compost site, I've been down there several times. Nobody ever checks your tag to see if you actually belong on that site. And I believe that a lot of people dump there that don't belong in this township when we're paying somebody to sit in the building and sleep. When I was there last fall, the gentleman said, "Well, I'm finally done with my nap. It's time to go home." So that's what we're paying for. Thank you.
I appreciate that. We do have a new person out there. I'll actually be there Saturday and Sunday. You can stop in and see if I'm taking a nap. Earlier, Mr. Monet, you wanted something added to this agenda, and when I got to the bottom, I didn't look to the top. We can probably drop back into the agenda if you want me to do the motion as we had discussed earlier.
Yes, I do.
Okay, then we're going to drop back out of board comment and go into one last motion. And correct me if I'm not wording it the way that you would like it. I will make a motion to have only me, the township supervisor, as the legal agent for the township, address the law firm with questions of legality. Will that work?
No.
Okay.
Because that's what you did last time with questions. I've never questioned the law firm. What I want is that this board to pass a resolution and basically censor me that you will not allow anyone but the supervisor to have any contact whatsoever. No questions, no comments, no concerns, unless it is the supervisor alone. And that is it, because that's not what you passed.
Let me try it again. Not a resolution, but I would make a motion that this board vote that only the supervisor, who is the legal agent of the township, address the attorney with any questions, any comments. What else do you want on?
Yeah, basically that's it. You will be the only one that will be able to reach out to the law firm, no, at all. That's it. Because the last one just said questions. Because if you don't do it, I'm going to write some concerns to the law firm, because that's not the way it reads. And I'm telling you right now I'm going to, because it was my legal right until you censor me.
I think as long as we're copied on everything, I'm good with that. We don't need all of us emailing the law firm. I mean, As long as we're all knowing what it's about when you're asking, I'm fine with that.
According to this statement, it says the 514 work session, the township board passed a motion that Supervisor Bertrand, as the legal agent for the township, continues sending legal questions to the attorney and CC copies of those questions to the board members. I'm looking right at it.
I know, it's only questions. I've never questioned the board. What I want is a resolution to say that I cannot even send, nor you with your status as a senior member of the board, nor Treasurer Hops, if you have any concerns from this board, that you can't even send him a message. You can't even tell him Merry Christmas.
I'll
That's
send
what
it
I
to
want.
Paul, and then he can send it.
Yep, that's what I want.
That's fine. I'm good with that.
Now you confuse me. And currently, that's what people suggest, send it to me and I send it to the attorney, including yours.
I never have any questions. I send concerns. I have questions to you if you want to send them.
So you send your concerns to me and
This
I
says
forward
that
them to
you
the
passed a
attorney.
motion for, I don't know how to make it any clearer. You passed a motion that says you're the only one who can ask the law firm questions. I want a motion passed by this board that says nobody can have any contact, even as a matter of concern about an issue, except you. There's a big difference. That's not a question. That is a concern.
Okay, I'll make a
That's
motion
not, that's
that,
not true what you said. That's not what we passed.
He just read it. That's exactly what you just passed. I watched the
But,
video.
you're ad-libbing stuff in there. Nobody can do this and nobody can do that.
No.
That's not true.
That's what I want tonight. I mean, this is truly about censoring me, so let's get it done. I'll offer myself up.
if that's your interpretation, okay. I mean, I can make the motion and we can vote on it.
Don't fall for that.
Well, it's not a matter of falling for anything. I don't have a problem putting motions on the table and letting the board speak as they see that they should say.
Okay, so if we don't pass it, then we agree, since the
Well, I
motion
didn't
was
pa- Wait a minute, I
that
haven't
you can
even
only ask
started. Do you want me
questions.
to do
That
the
means
motion or not?
I can, well, that's up
Do
to
you
the
want
board,
me
I
to
guess.
do the motion or not? Just give me a yes or no.
I don't really care at this point.
A yes or no,
Legal
please.
agent of the township has nothing to do with talking to an attorney. It has to do with
Hey,
the
we're all
right to
tired.
sign
I can
contracts.
either make this motion or not based on what you want to have happen. Yes or no?
No, I don't
Why
care.
don't you get
All
a
right, thank
definition of what a legal agent is for us?
I move that we close the meeting.
Well, yeah, basically, we're through the public comment.
There's been no.
And that's
there's been
fine,
no
and
other motion.
Timothy, actually,
I move that we
I don't
close
have a
the
problem, yeah, I don't have a problem with it if you want to bring it up at another time.
Sure, that's fine. We'll take it.
Okay, so at that point, we're done with all of what was on the agenda and the public comments. So I would make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'd like to raise a point of order. Public comment comes after the agenda.
I know, and this may not,
You open the agenda up again, so it seems like you should open up the public comment again on this issue.
I'm gonna pass, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I second the
This is what
motion.
you guys said you wanted. Transparency.
It's right there on the video. If I made a mistake, I'm sure I'll hear about it. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting. Only because I hear what Timothy is saying, maybe another time, if you don't want to do it now, then that's where I'm going right now. So I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at, what do we got here? 9:10. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any discussion on it at all? A little bit. I do hear you, Phil. It's a little bit late to start backwards. That would be my only comment on the discussion. Is there any other discussion?
I heard a second.
All right, yeah, finishing the discussion. All right, all those in favor of adjourning the meeting at this
Aye.
time?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye. 9/11
Aye.
is what I got. Vern?